I have a second question today, and that second question was sent in. It says, how do I help others understand the time that it takes to put together publications and communication items? Quality items take time, so I need more than just a couple days of lead time. And I got to tell you, this was one of the biggest challenges that I faced in the local church. I faced it when I was a worship pastor, and I was the one trying to create the things and do all the planning. And I faced it as a communications director when I was the one trying to create all the communications for everyone and keeping things on task, keeping my life in some sort of order so that I wasn't there every day creating last minute promotions. And what I found is that there was really three things I had to focus on. And I would encourage you to do the same. And the first one that you want to do is you need to start tracking your time. Now, this may seem a little counterintuitive at first, but start tracking what it takes for you to do different types of projects. And the reason that you want to do this is I can guarantee you, at least what I learned in my life, is that it takes you longer to do the things than you think it does. So start thinking through a process. Include the time that you spend in meetings, talking about what the project needs to be, that you spend personally in planning, anytime you spend writing copy or the words that are going to be the text that's going to be written or read by the people receiving the publication. You spend designing, actually doing the graphics. You spend proofing it, following up with the staff and getting information back from them. Anything else that's related. And I say this one thing, don't exaggerate the time, but be specific about it so that you have a record. And this record really, at least initially, is going to mostly be for you. The reason is you just want to know what it's really taking you to do these projects. Because what you'll find, at least what I found, was that that project you said, oh, that's just a 20-minute project. Well, it probably actually took 45 minutes of your time. And that 4-hour promotion that had a postcard and sermon slides and a couple other things, it probably actually took you closer to 6. But you don't know that for certain until you're tracking every bit of your time. So start doing it, and immediately you're going to know where your time is. And what I did was I began to just kind of keep a cheat sheet. Okay, this kind of project takes on average 4 hours. I did this kind of project again for someone, it took 5 hours. I did this project, it only took 2 hours. So I at least have an idea of what I'm up against each and every time. So once you've got a handle on how much time a project's going to take, then you need to begin to educate your staff and the volunteers who are bringing projects to you. Now, this can be a touchy subject, and you really have to just approach this with grace, because the reality is that they don't know all that it takes for you to create a communication. And the reason they don't know is that it's not their responsibility. So you can't get frustrated with them for not knowing. It's our responsibility as the communications creator to let people know. So as requests come in, begin to let them know what the reality of the time necessary is going to be. And if there's not time available, be gracious enough to offer suggestions to them. Okay? Things like, is there something else we can do that in the time available that we can do to promote this event? How could we streamline what you want to do into a way I can get it done for you in the time that I've got available? I began to actually schedule out my projects and show, okay, that's a 4-hour project, so I know I'm going to work on that on Thursday. I'm going to work on this on Friday. And that way, if something came in and someone said, hey, I've got that last minute thing, and you go, hey, I need you to look at my project board. I've got these other things. They've been on the docket for a while now. I've got to get those done. They're things for this weekend also. I can't move everything around. So how can we work creatively to get your project done? And in the future, here's an idea of how we might work better at getting our timeline put together. And when you approach things that way, you're saying no, but you're offering creative options for people, and it really helps to to give them a better sense that you aren't trying to just shut them down, but you're trying to work together to find a solution. And I can tell you, the first time that I had to do this in a staff meeting, it was a challenge. It threw me off having to do it because I've always been the people pleaser who wants to provide the solution right now. But it was a Thursday, and I got a 20-hour project request on a Thursday for Sunday. And in light of everything else that needed to be done yet for the weekend, there was no way. And I just had to say, hey, I just need you to know that's a 20-hour project. And I know it's a 20-hour project because we've done things like this 3 times, and they always took 20 hours because I had that information that I had been tracking, and I was able to show them. So the next thing that I would say is, so you want to track your time. You begin to educate people based on that information you gathered as you were tracking their time. And then the last thing you want to do is, now that you know this and have an idea of what it's going to take you to accomplish, you need to begin to create a project submission process. And the reason you want to do that is you want to give people a forum to get information about their projects to you in a reasonable enough amount of time that you can get them done and they still get them promoted the way they need to be. And oftentimes this is part of the education process as much as anything, because you need to let them know, hey, if we're going to advertise your event for 4 weeks, then we also want to make sure it's created early enough. So we need to think about starting the process earlier. And if you can create a submission process that you can put in writing and say, hey, 6 weeks before an event, I need this information from you. At this point, I need this information from you. At this point, we need to have it finished and proofed and out the door so that people can begin to respond to it. So include things like how far in advance you need that info, how do you want information submitted to you, email, online form, something like that. Put it in writing so you can give it to people. How far out are you going to promote things in your church? Just begin to make that available to your staff and your volunteers so they understand that you're wanting to work as a team. You aren't trying to shut them down, but you need to accomplish the goal in ways that works best for all of you. So if you can do those 3 things, it will begin to be golden in terms of your ability to help others understand the reality of the time it takes. And I can tell you this, up front, it's going to take a little more time from you to do these things. But once you've got them in place, it will make tremendous difference for you in terms of your productivity and your ability to help staff going forward.